Welcome to another episode, everyone. This is the story of Big Weasel, Baby Weasel, and Tiny Weasel, a father and two of his sons named after him in gang life, in gang culture. They followed him to his hood and took their father's name. Both of his sons met a very disturbing and tragic end. Let's get into it.
Welcome to Hood Politics. In this episode, I will be discussing the story of Weasel, Baby Weasel, and Tiny Weasel from neighborhood Norwalk. The facts of the case are as follows. Norwalk is a city located in the southeast region of Los Angeles County. Norwalk is home to gangs like Carmela Vadio Locos, Peaceful Vadio Norwalk, Orange Street Locos, Vadio Norwalk, Neighborhood Norwalk, and others. Almost all of these gangs feud with each other, and these rivalries have plagued the city for decades.
So this morning, detectives are investigating a shooting in Norwalk that left two people dead and another in critical condition.
With a wild scene inside a gas station in Norwalk after a double shooting there. One of the victims is fighting for his life this morning.
Authorities are investigating the shooting death of a man at a bus stop in Norwalk. The 41-year-old man was standing at the bus stop when a van pulled up just past him and parked. A man got out of the van, walked up to the victim, and shot him multiple times, officials said, after which the shooter fled in the van.
But one of the worst rivalries is between Vadio Norwalk and Neighborhood Norwalk. This rivalry goes back decades and has resulted in numerous shootings and multiple murders. In one incident on Tuesday, February 23rd, 2016, at around 4:30 p.m., a man named Christopher Bishop Sr. made his way to a 7-Eleven convenience store along with his son, 18-year-old Christopher Bishop Jr. Both men were members of Neighborhood Norwalk. Christopher Sr. went by the nickname Weasel, and Christopher Jr. went by the nickname Baby Weasel. I will be referring to Christopher Sr. as Senior and Christopher Jr. as Junior from here on. The 7-Eleven was located on the southwest corner of Studebaker Road and Alondra Boulevard in rival Vadio Norwalk territory. Both men were covered in gang tattoos. Senior had an NBD tattoo on his chin. NBD means neighborhood, as well as others on his head and neck. Junior had tattoos on his neck and an NBD tattoo on the back of his head. Around the same time Senior and Junior arrived at the 7-Eleven, a car pulled up to the store. Inside of the vehicle was Luis Aguilar, Victor Roberts, Giovanni Tejada, Brian P., and Dario F. Luis, Victor, and Giovanni were members of Vadio Norwalk. Dario was 14 years old and not a part of the gang itself, but a part of a tagging crew that was affiliated with the gang. The group went to the store to buy pizza and beer. Luis, Victor, and Giovanni went inside of the store while Brian and Dario stayed in the car. Shortly afterwards, Dario and Brian spotted Junior's tattoo and went inside to warn the others. Victor pointed at Senior and Junior and said, "That's Weasel and Lil Weasel from Neighborhood." Giovanni approached Senior and Junior and said, "Your Neighborhood, you're not supposed to be here." Luis threw up a Vadio Norwalk gang sign and told the man to leave. Senior and Junior refused. Luis and Victor exited the store. Senior and Junior started passing something back and forth, and Dario thought it could have been a weapon. He got scared and walked outside, where he saw Luis and Victor standing together. Dario heard Luis tell Victor to give him that, and Victor handed Luis a gun. The two then went back inside of the store. Luis approached Senior and Junior and showed them the handle of the gun. Senior immediately ran out of the store's emergency exit, and Junior followed him a few moments later. Luis, Victor, and Dario started chasing them. Luis kicked open the emergency exit door, and the group saw Senior and Junior running away from the store. Junior tripped while trying to hop over a railing. Luis raised the gun and opened fire. Dario heard a man scream and saw Junior on his knees. Luis continued shooting and hit Junior multiple times while he was on the ground. The group then ran back to their vehicle and fled the scene. Junior was shot 6 times and transported to a nearby hospital. At 5:11 p.m., Christopher Bishop Jr. was pronounced dead. 5 of his wounds indicated the bullet traveled from the back of his body to the front, and the 6th wound was inconclusive. The medical...
Jeez, what kind of weapon did they have? Five of the bullets traveled from the back of his body to the front of his body, but this must be horrific for the father. I can only imagine. I don't know, though. I mean, because why would you have your son follow you into gang life, into this horrific genocidal gang culture, this violent gang culture with nothing but death and destruction? As fathers, I would imagine we want the best for our children. Gang banging is certainly not the best. You know this, being a gang member yourself. You want your child away from this sort of life, not to follow you into this life. This individual was all in, baby weasel. 18 years old. Tattoos everywhere, all on his neck, on the back of his head. With his father. His father has tattoos everywhere. Big weasel. And now you're with your son in enemy opposition territory for whatever reason. You get approached and refuse to leave. And until they show you the handle of the weapon, then you want to run out of the emergency exit. But it's too late. Now they're upset and shooting because they told y'all to leave at first before they even went and got the weapon. And they thought that y'all was reaching and passing something back and forth. I don't know, whatever. That's neither here nor there. But wow. For your son to be unalive like that in the most brutal fashion right in front of you while you're with him. You both are running for your lives. You're with your son. You must feel guilty. You must feel like you have him in this position, that you put him in this position. Yes, kids do their own thing. They make their own decisions sometimes. And some may say he was grown. He's 18 years old. He could have chose a different life regardless of what his father said or what his father was doing. I don't know. Maybe there's some truth to that, but I'm sure he didn't start gang banging at 18 years old. He started gang banging when he was younger, and you're responsible for your child up until the age of 18 at least. I just would imagine that there's a lot of guilt with this individual, Big Weasel, or there was, following his son's death because they were together when this happened. He probably feel like he didn't protect his son, that he couldn't protect him, that his son got killed and he didn't on his watch. Bad business.
Examiner determined that Junior died from a fatal wound to the chest. As the group drove away from the scene, Victor and Giovanni initially expressed anger at Lewis for shooting someone in broad daylight. Shortly afterwards, Giovanni received a call from the 7-Eleven cashier. The cashier told him that Junior was dead. Giovanni relayed that information to Lewis and Victor, who then shook hands with a demeanor of kudos or good job.
A fight broke out inside this 7-Eleven, then spilled into the parking lot where a man was shot and killed. Those suspects are still on the loose.
According to his mother, Michelle, Jr. was in the process of turning his life around. He had recently become the father of a baby girl. He earned his GED and had a steady job detailing cars. Michelle and Sr. had broken up, so Jr. spent time with his father in Norwalk and with his mother in Santa Paula, which is a city located roughly 80 miles northwest of Norwalk in Ventura County. After combing through surveillance footage and speaking to witnesses, investigators believed that they had their suspects, and in the following months, they began making arrests, and by late April, all of the suspects were in custody. Louis Aguilar, Victor Roberts, Giovanni Tejada, and two 15-year-old young men were all charged in connection with Junior's murder and the attempted murder of Senior, as well as gun and gang enhancement charges. Louis and Victor were placed in holding cells with paid agents. Their conversations were recorded. Victor told the agent that the police had searched his home, which he thought was related to a probation violation. He then told the agent about a time where he beat up a neighborhood Norwalk member at a swap meet. Sometime later, a police officer informed Victor that homicide detectives wanted to speak with him. After the officer left, Victor told the agent that the cops were trying to get him for something that he didn't do. Victor said his homie killed someone from neighborhood. The agent asked Victor, what did he do? He replied, nothing, it's because I was right behind. Victor denied even touching the gun. Around that point in the conversation, Victor was removed from the cell, presumably to be interviewed by detectives. When Victor returned to the cell, he continued the conversation with the agent. The agent asked Victor if he had ever touched a gun. Victor responded that he initially refused to give the gun to Louis, but eventually did so out of the camera's view. The agent asked, if you hadn't given the gun to your homeboy, would you have shot him? Victor responded, probably. Louis told the agent that Senior and Junior had fled out the back exit shortly after he returned to the store with the gun. Louis chased after them, kicked the back door open, and shot Junior as he and Senior were running away. He then proceeded to shoot Junior several more times while he was on the ground. During the trial, the prosecutor played surveillance footage of the incident for the jury. The prosecution's primary witnesses were Senior and Dario. Both of them had previously given detailed recorded accounts of the incident, and those recordings were played for the jury. The prosecution also played the recordings of Louis's and Victor's conversations with the agent for the jury. They emphasized how both men were willing participants in the
And this is a common thing as well inside of these jailhouses. You get arrested and they'll put undercovers in there on you. Or sometimes these individuals are not actual police officers. They're not undercover officers. They're just snitches. They're claiming a hood, or they really used to be from a gang. They have tattoos, all of this. They had one running around the Los Angeles County Jail that was getting all sorts of people convicted. They will befriend you, particularly in the police station, but they had one running around loose in the Los Angeles County Jail and have a microphone on them and start asking you about your case. You just got arrested, you're anxious, you're nervous, you're miserable, you're upset, you're all of this stuff. You want to get some of this stuff out, man. What do you think, man? You think I'm going to beat the case? You're telling someone about your case, and oftentimes these individuals are mic'd up. They're working with the popo, the feds. And you end up getting convicted. We see the situation here. They put these individuals in a holding tank with these dudes who are actual police officers, undercovers, trying to solicit information. And some of these young individuals, because some of these individuals were young, involved in this case, started talking, giving up the information. It just never fails. You get yourself in a situation.
Murder. A detective named Ivania Farias testified as the prosecution's gang expert. She told the court about Vadio Norwalk and said that she believed the murder was committed in benefit of the gang. The defense told the court that the shooting was committed in self-defense, stating that if two gang members ventured into rival gang territory, they would more than likely be armed. They also cited that Senior and Junior were seen passing something back and forth, which could have been a weapon. A man named Martin Flores testified as the defense's gang expert. He agreed that Senior and Junior could have been armed, and their defiance during a confrontation in rival gang territory supports that theory. The prosecutor refuted this being a self-defense case, stating that Lewis and Victor returned to the store and chased Senior and Junior out of the back door. Lewis then fired at the men several times as they ran away and continued to fire at Junior while he was on the ground. The prosecutor...
Well, I tell you what, if they were armed, they should have put it out. If you have it and you are in enemy territory, and these so-called enemy territory, because these individuals are not your enemy, they're your people, they're your brother. You just think that they're your enemy. But since you do believe this, if you are in that said enemy territory and you're going to be defiant in that territory, and these individuals happen upon you, because obviously this is the chance you take when you're in enemy territory, that you can happen upon an enemy. When four or five, and you happen upon 4 or 5 of them, or they happen upon you, and tell you to get out of there, you're in the wrong place, and you don't, because you have a weapon. You saying, I ain't going nowhere, as if they don't have one in their own territory. Then you better have it out and be ready, because look what happened. This is the father with his son. Then, man, this ain't right. Got him in a situation where, you got to protect your child. If you got a weapon, why y'all acting like y'all passing something back and forth? Tell your son, man, give it to me. And watch out, son. Get low, get behind me. They got to take me first. Man.
Peter went on to say that even if Senior and Junior were armed, they weren't posing an immediate threat. The defense also spoke about Lewis's and Victor's conversation with the agent. Initially, the defense wanted the identity of the agent revealed, and he also wanted to cross-examine him during the trial. The prosecutor said it wouldn't be able to happen because that would essentially expose the agent, which could put his life in danger. The court agreed. The defense told the court that detectives intentionally made the agent look and behave like an older gangster. He went on to say that Victor was intimidated by the appearance of the agent, so he pumped himself up and exaggerated his stories to sound tougher. Ultimately, Louis Aguilar and Victor Roberts were found guilty with the murder of Christopher Bishop Jr., as well as gun and gang enhancement charges. Both men were found not guilty with the attempted murder of Christopher Bishop Sr. Giovanni Tejada was tried jointly with Louis and Victor, but the jury couldn't reach a verdict on the murder charge, and he was found not guilty of the attempted murder. Louis Aguilar was sentenced to 50 years to life in prison. Victor Roberts was sentenced to 40 years to life in prison. On Sunday, February 17, 2019, a 16-year-old young man named Daniel Bishop was walking through the parking lot of a CVS located on Rosecrans Avenue. Moments later, someone approached him, pulled out a gun, and opened fire. Daniel was shot and ran to the street, where he collapsed. Daniel Bishop was pronounced dead at the scene. Daniel was Christopher Sr.'s son and Christopher Jr.'s younger brother. He was also a member of neighborhood Norwalk and went by the nickname Tiny Weasel. Just like his brother, he spent time with his mother, Michelle, in Santa Paula, and his father in Norwalk. Daniel was killed just a few weeks shy of his 17th birthday. No one has been convicted of his murder. On Monday, May 11th, 2020, Christopher Bishop Sr. passed away. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Please.
Wow. Shout out to Hood Politics. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so. Talking about my channel. The Inside Story with Damian Porter. We're having these conversations over here. I've been involved in this culture. It's a very genocidal, violent, and deadly culture. And here is evidence. We have all three individuals who have lost their lives. The father and both sons. Appears perhaps the father died, from something else, not necessarily gang violence. He didn't really dive into that part of it. But the sons, one individual, 16 years old, opened fire on him, and no one has been caught for that, even though it was in the parking lot or something somewhere. Lost his life at 16. Couple of weeks or whatever away from his 17th birthday. Never got to live. 16 years old, man, that's not living. 8, his big brother was 18. Baby Weasel, when he got killed, running with his father. The other individuals got life in prison that were convicted of it, and then the father ends up dying as well. Tragic ending. No one won. No one was successful in this situation, in this story. And that's how most of these stories end in the ghetto, grottos and catacombs of America. These gang-infested territories, most of these stories end in the same way. Death and destruction, life in prison, just a cemetery. That's it. Nary a successful story. I made it out of the hood, and now I'm a billionaire and serving my community. Who makes it out unscathed? No one. Get out while you can. It's not worth it. This is tragic, though. I don't like that. I don't respect it. My sons, no, it's not gonna happen. I'll beat you. No. You're not gonna be a gang member. So I don't like that. That his father allowed this. Not saying that he put him in this situation even. Maybe he tried to talk to his son. Maybe his son said, Dad, no, Dad. This neighborhood, I don't care what you say. You gang bang. You can't tell me not to gang bang. I'm from the hood, Dad. That's it. And went and got his tattoos and just defied his father. His father perhaps did try to talk him down and say no and be stern with him or whatever. There's that possibility for those who may say that. I just don't think so. I think if you raise them young and you raising them up and you're the father and you're a strict, strong dad and they respect you, you lay down the law and say, I don't care what you do. You're not finna be from my hood. You let your hood know he can't be from the hood. All of that. You keep them out of that situation, man. They lost their life. Let me know what you think in the comments. Stay safe and stay free, people.